as quick as possible. So the title of my project is Evaluating the Effectiveness of Simulation-Based Teaching, Industrial Automation, in Renewable Energy and Industrial Automation in TVET Electro-Electronics Engineering. So proceed to the next slide. Next slide. As we know that we have advancement of technology, at the same time we have industrial automation, and a call for renewable energy system is coming on. So there is need to bridge the gap between theory and practice. The students or the graduates that are supposed to graduate from institution of higher learning or the TVET institutions need to be skill-based, so that when they meet the equipment or the appliances that in the real life situation, they'll be in a position to handle them. So, and key competencies that are required to improve on is PLC programming, human-machine interface operation, photovoltaic system design, and energy management while designing those dynamic enhancement of microgrids. So, but the problem is fully equipped laboratory requires tons of amount of money, and PLC trainers requires up to approximately 250,000 Kenyan shilling per unit. Now, then renewable energy training and capacity building is very expensive, because getting those equipments and subjecting it to the effects that we want to maybe test, the effect that they might get in the real life situation, such as islanding and black start. So it requires those expensive equipments. Now the consequences are students learn from outdated equipment, and mostly they rely on theory perspective, but they are not subjected to the real world challenges. Now, the gap between curriculum aspiration and laboratory realities is that wide. So the idea or the main aim of this project was to bridge that gap. Now, next. So that's why I came up with this project. So I have one main objective and 5 specific objectives, though 5 are too much, but for our case I've just analyzed 3, but I've included the 5 of those specific objectives. So one was to evaluate the effectiveness of simulation-based learning using MATLAB. I used MATLAB as one of the simulation environment, because MATLAB is one of the simulation environments whereby you can vary the parameters to meet the expected result or the expected parameters in the real world. Now, then specific was to improve on cost effectiveness, to document at least 90% cost savings when using simulation-based learning to the physical laboratories. Then to achieve at least 80% positive agreement, student perception, because students are our main target customers. When you train them, at some point they can perceive that at least today I've learned something. Then problem-solving skills. When you train a student, rather training on programming skills, the electrical engineering student, when you train that student on programming skills, he or she can solve any real-world situation, because we know that the programming bit of it improves problem-solving skills. Then conceptual understanding, to increase student conceptual understanding, test scores by at least 20 points from pre-test to post-test within a 6-week intervention period. And the comparative effectiveness, we compare the control and the simulation group. Now, for the literature review, the simulation-based learning, for this one, I analyzed, or rather I focused on this theory they call experiential learning, whereby students learn best through active experimentation and reflection. When you subject a student into a real-life perspective in a simulation environment, he'll grasp more. For research design, I used quasi-experimental design. We have those 2 groups, and it took a period of 6 weeks implemented in Michuki National Polytechnic. And we had a simulation group, but chose 42 students, and the control group 38. Then for level 5 and level 6 students, because we know that for level 5 and level 6 are the students who are expected to be industrial expert technicians in those industries. Please go back, please. Go back. Then knowledge test questions, maximum of 100 scores, problem solving task, and the student perception to analyze those 3 objectives as of now. Next. So we designed the 3 tasks. One was photovoltaic power generation, 2 automated DC motor, then energy management PV system. Next. So these are model of a photovoltaic system. Then for pretest, we find out that the simulation I had 42 and control I had 38. For pretest, the score was for the pretest mean was 46.3, and then post-test was 74.7. So if you calculate the difference, find that the mean grade was 20.8. Then for control was around 45.8. Then when after post-test is around 50.4. When you get the difference is 8.6. So for this one, your simulation group improved by 28.4 points, and the control group improved by only 8.6 points. Then this is a bar chart showing how it improved. Then this is the variation. That those are the simulation group. I gave them this task, whereby we know that for a PV system to give the maximum output, we must have 1,000 watts per meter square and a temperature of averagely not exceeding 25 degrees. Because when it exceeds 25 degrees, so there's a question for that I gave the students. Then next. So this is the graphical representation. This is that is the screenshot of the MATLAB output. So for a student, he'll be able to conceptualize that you can interpret that when you increase the temperatures up to a certain point, the power output will be decreased above 25. Then the effect of irradiance. Irradiance is the amount of light shining on the surface of that solar module. This is the graphical representation. Then the problem-solving task, because I wanted to analyze those specific objectives independently. So the PV system output, I gave that this scenario, that the PV output drops to 40% of rated power at noon. Then the question was, list 3 possible causes and propose a diagnostic method. So for the simulation group, they gave 37 out of 42 responses. So if you calculate that is around 88%. Then for the control group, those students that were taught under normal laboratory setup was 18 out of 38. That is a 47%. Then if you get the cycle, the chi-square you get is around 15.63. Then the survey result for 5-point Likert scale. Then simulation helped me understand the PV characteristics. So for mean was about 4.6. There's a part of it that has been cut. It gives the percentages. Go to the next slide. So open-ended question. So I never understood MPPT, maximum power, until I saw the curve change when I moved the irradiance. It was fun to try different PID, so for motor speed control. So for these students that were taught under the simulation environment, were able to give positive feedbacks. Next. Then this is the cost comparison. If you get for PLC training systems, for a class that has around 60, and we can get that the ratio of training kits to students, you can get that 15 students may require at least one training kit. So for a class of around 60 students, you can get something like 4. And getting one is 250,000. Okay, 250,000. So if you want to get 10, that is 2.5 M. Then sensors, actuators, 690,000. So if you calculate the total capital that is required, is around 4.71 M. But for the case of simulation-based environment, you just need the laptop or the desktop and the license, and it serves annually subscription. Next. So key findings that are 24 points. We saw that there's a 28.4 point gain versus that one. Then analytical thinking, 88% versus 47. Then affordable, about 95%. Then recommendation, we blend approach. We use, there's these, the ones that you can get, like ESP32, those small controllers we can control. Then at the same time we simulate using those MATLAB simulation. We have those softwares that are free as well, and student version. Then teacher training, we train teachers to be knowledgeable about the MATLAB and those simulation environments. Next. Then conclusion, simulation-based using MATLAB significantly improves conceptual understanding, enhances analytical thinking, cost-effective. It is cost-effective because we've seen that you just need a license. You subscribe it annually. Instead of buying those gadgets, and at the same time you need maintenance cost. Next. Further research, you combine simulation with low-cost hardware, measure long-term competence, expand to other courses. You can expand it to other courses like a building. That is, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I can see you are also timing yourself to be up to the task of our agreed time. We thank you. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you very much. The next paper is to be presented by Cheriot Sambu. We'll invite you. We'll have three. Cheriot Sambu. Cheriot Sambu has a paper under the title Comparison of Traditional Fat Sources. I hope that. Comparison of traditional fat sources and thematic processing methods as contributing factors to Kenya's pandemic of non-communicable diseases. He comes to us from the Rift Valley Technical Training Institute. We want to thank you and welcome you, Mr. Cheriot. Mr. Cheriot will be followed by Nathaniel Karanja. Then we'll have a panel discussion.
Good afternoon. So thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Cheriot Sambu. So this paper is comparing traditional fat sources and thermal processing methods as contributing factors to Kenya's pandemic of non-communicable diseases. So we know it is a trend which I did for the 44 years from 1970 to 2013. So this is comparing the burden of non-communicable diseases. We are aware in Kenya currently, more than half of inpatients are suffering from non-communicable diseases. So it's actually a pandemic. According to the World Bank 2019 study, the non-communicable disease contribute to more than half of hospitalized patients. And from most of the studies that we are finding and the knowledge that we already have, it's showing us that the amount of fat that we consume contribute to non-communicable diseases. However, the emerging evidence suggests that food processing methods and thermal degradation of fats may play a critical role in disease development. So that is what triggered me to do this study, to find out whether is it true that we consume a lot of fat and we end up getting these non-communicable diseases. Example is diabetes, hypertension, which is currently very common. We have cancer also at the rising cases. So my research question was, is the increasing burden of non-communicable disease in Kenya associated more strongly with industrially refined cooking oil and high temperature frying practices than with traditional fat consumption itself? So in essence, now traditional fats are minimally processed. The old school cooking fat that we used to, our grandmothers are using, or they were using those days, they were eating a lot of fats. And remember, those fats are highly saturated because it was animal fat, like the tallow, the ghee. So those are the kind of fats they used to eat. Now we wonder, those days, was there any increase in number of cases of non-communicable diseases? So from this study, the hypothesis was to maximize the historical changes in the availability of traditional animal fat and industrially refined vegetable oil in Kenya between 1970 to 2013. So the replacement of traditional fats as an hypothesis with industrially refined vegetable oil together with increased reliance on high temperature frying is associated with rising NCD in Kenya through oxidative and inflammatory and metabolic mechanisms. So currently we eat a lot of fried foods. I think we are aware of that. We used to eat boiled potato. Ile unaekwa kwa maji alafu unakula, you peel and eat. But currently we have varieties. Kuna chips, kuna zijui inaitwa crisps, kuna ingine inaitwa bajia, na the same potato. And you use a lot of oil, cooking oil, to fry. So these processes that we are using, because we are adapting Western culture on cooking methods, from these different studies, we are finding that it is not actually about the fats itself. The problem is on the methods that we are using to prepare our food. So my conceptual framework was from the FAO food balance sheet, 1970 to 2013. Then I started a historical trends analysis of traditional fats versus commercial oil. Then comparing with the trends of NCD like hypertension, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. Those are diseases which affect our heart. So anybody working in the health facility can confirm there is increased cases. So there is what is called mechanistic triangulation toxicological literature, which I had to review and to find out what are the changes that these fats that we consume undergoes when we process our food. So there is assessment on biological plausibility, conclusion, and now I have a policy recommendation for the same. So when you check on this, the review, some of the literature that we find, so every time oil is heated, especially for frying temperatures, it reacts with oxygen. So when you expose oil to heat, it reacts with oxygen. This triggers a breakdown process called lipid peroxidation. So when you repeat, especially those we repeat cooking, when you want to buy fish, a fried fish, do you think that somebody who is selling you fish, the oil, after using it to fry fish, wanamwaga your oil, they have to reuse because they want to maximize on the profit. So the process which these fats undergoes, the chemical processes that change, especially this cooking oil we are calling polyunsaturated fatty acids, the one which they are highly recommended. Currently, when you go to any health care provider, they tell you use these polyunsaturated fatty acids. But when you eat, the danger is there is formation of this 4-hydroxy-2 nanol. This one is a toxic compound which is formed when you eat this cooking oil. So it's known as cytotoxin, cell damaging. So when you consume the reheated oil, it end up affecting the lining of your GI, the gastrointestinal tract. So that now the reaction start, formation of plaques, causing the arteries to harden, causing atherosclerosis, which can lead to high blood pressure. So actually when you consume reheated cooked oil, it is a problem. But how many of us wanamwaga mafuta after frying food? Because of economy, people reuse, and that is where we get a problem. So there is what is called chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. So when you consume a reheated oil, you ingest the high concentrated of free radicals and lipid peroxides. So the danger is these unstable molecules deplete the body's natural antioxidant defenses like glutathione and trigger systemic low-grade inflammation. So this is very dangerous. So chronic inflammation is the root driver of metabolic syndrome for type 2 diabetes and autoimmune condition. So some studies have shown repeatedly that oil damages the endothelium, the inner lining of the blood vessels. So that's what you are getting from this, most of the literature. And methodology is a systematic narrative review employing Prisma adjacent principle. So the data sources, I compared the FAO food balance sheet, World Bank, the NCD reports, and then the Ministry of Health, the Kenya, and the peer-reviewed literature. So, and my variation was the exposure variable is traditional fats, animal fats, commercial vegetable oil, and cooking methods. That is, the using of thermal is eating. Because most of us, we cook food and we use oil. So when you cook, so the big question is, do we consume these saturated fats or polyunsaturated fatty acids? Which one is the better option? Because now there are chemical changes that take place when you eat those oil. So the data analyzed the Pearson's products moment correlation coefficient was used to determine the relationship. And SPSS version 23 was used. So there are three mechanistic triangulation here. So the observed association was cross-referenced with established biomechanical mechanism involving. So we have these three industrial trans fatty acids. Those are the changes which happens when you expose this cooking oil or fats into thermal process, which is temperature. So there is thermal oxidation products, advanced glycation, and end products. So those are the three chemical changes that takes place. However, the limitation is ecological study design. So correlation does not imply causation. I may not strongly say this really the cause, but the impression is the processes that we are using can damage the fat, the cooking oil, and we get a problem. So the results from the correlation analysis, a Pearson correlation analysis was conducted to assess the relationship between commercial oil and hypertension incident in Kenya between 1970 to 2013. And when you see the correlation here is 0.78, the significant level was less than 0.5 for the 44 years. So there is a strong positive correlation which was observed, and the findings suggest that increasing availability of commercial cooking oil coincided with increasing hypertension. So when we are consuming this cooking oil, so people think when you consume a lot of cooking oil, it is the problem, but that is not actually the problem. It is the method that we are using, the cooking, which destroy our cooking oil and what we consume, because most of us, we depend on the market. We don't even buy those. It's rare to find somebody who is buying a fish from the market which is raw, anaenda kuchifurahia kwa nyumba. So there is a problem there. Because now you depend on someone who is using and reusing the oil which has already been used even for the last 1 week or even a month. Mtu akinunua the new oil anakucha kutop up ile. So the transformation which those oil undergoes, it end up destroying your blood vessels, which can really cause a lot of harm to your body. So from this comparing of the literature, there is traditional key. Ile mafuta ile tulikuwa tunatumia hata ile ya ng'ombe. The tallow. So those fats, it is highly saturated because of the hydrogen atom, which is single bond, and it is resistant even to high temperatures. It cannot be degraded by heat. So this, there was no significant association with increased cases of non-communicable diseases. But when you come now to the commercial, the one we call it polyunsaturated, hii mafuta yenye tunaita ya maji, which we are encouraged to take, and I think we need to do a serious study, then we reverse that trend. Watu warudi wakule ile ya tradition. Because there is a strong association between these communicable, non-communicable diseases with the increased intake of these polyunsaturated fatty acids. So the toxicological processes, we have mechanistic, the ITFAS, now industrial trans fatty acids. So like linoleic acid and translinoleic acid. So this, when you convert this polyunsaturated, when you eat above 100 degrees Celsius, it changes the form.
2 minutes.
Thank you. So it increases the LDL, that is the bad cholesterol. it reduces the high density lipoprotein, which is bad cholesterol, good cholesterol. So it reduces. So that is a problem with that. There is also the oxidative stress, which is also caused. When you eat, lipid peroxidation happened, the epithelial tissue is damaged. So this is the thermal oxidation when you eat this cooking oil. Then advanced glycation end products. This also a process which when you eat, it undergoes this oxidative stress and increases insulin resistance. That is why we have high cases of diabetes. So those are the processes that happens when you consume these fats, cooking oil. So because the reason why we have unstable polyunsaturated fatty acid is the double bond in it. So when you eat, it is it's no longer stable. Saturated fats are lacking this vulnerable double bond. That's why we need to go back to eat saturated fats. Tukikula ile ya kienyeji hata ile ya ng'ombe, it is better because when you expose to high temperatures, it's better, it's stable. So from the various literature systematic review, there is this one, the Siri Tarino meta-analysis 2010, which was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. And this study reviews 21 studies involving nearly 350,000 subjects. And the conclusion is there is no significant evidence linking dietary saturated fats to an increase in coronary heart disease or cardiovascular diseases. Another study, also in 2017 by Pure Study, a massive epidemiological study published in the Lancet, tracking over 105,000 participants across 18 countries, found that higher fat intake, including saturated fat, was associated with lower risk. So when you take these saturated fats, there is lower risk for non-communicable diseases, which we are not told. Ukienda kwa health facility wanakuambia kula ya maji, but they cannot tell you the risk behind the cooking and eating of those and reheating. So let me go to conclusion because of time. There is a public health implication. So food processing practices may be important as nutrient composition is determined long-term health outcomes. So my conclusion is the escalating non-communicable diseases burden is driven by toxicological consequences of industrial fat alteration and high heat cooking. So it is the cooking processes that destroy our fats. So food preparation methods and oil quality are the prime toxicological determinants, outweighing the emphasis on the simple fat classification. So we don't have to emphasize on the types of fat, but the traditional one are the best, which we used. So then policy recommendation. There is a WHO recommendation that we have to take these industrially trans fatty acids to less than 2 grams per 100 grams of total fat, which is not actually followed. So if we teach people, we don't have to reuse the cooking oil again. So to strengthen food regulation, so we have to monitor edible oil quality, and there are no people to monitor. Unapata tu ile samaki yako, unanunua fried fish, the fish is good, but the fat has destroyed the content of that fish. So enforce standard for oxidation products and trans fat content, then promote healthier cooking practices. So we need to encourage so that we don't reheat the fat. You use once and you dispose. So afadhali economy yaribike, lakini your health is very important. So that is my advice. The best way, use your money, tumia yo mafuta ufry, then umwage, usitumie the next day. So when you cook chips, usitumie yo mafuta kupika tena mandazi. So that is my advice. Those are my reference.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I'll advise my neighbor not to come for the residual of of the already used up fat or cooking oil. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I think we'll soon have a panel discussion. Let us have Nathaniel Karanja and the integration of automation and renewable energy training in Tibet for sustainable industrial development. He comes to us all the way from the Michuki National Polytechnic. I must appreciate the concern of the Michuki team. In fact, they were even earlier than almost, no, I don't want to use the other term, but they were earlier than all of us combined. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. As I'm waiting for the setup, my name is Nathaniel Karanja from Michuki National Polytechnic, and I'll be presenting a paper on integrating industrial automation and renewable energy training in the TVET institutions for sustainable industrial development. So I'll start with the introduction. Let's move to the next slide. The introduction, where the industries are shifting from towards automation, smart manufacturing, and clean energy systems. So these changes require workers who can operate the modern machines and troubleshoot smart systems, and also apply sustainable energy technologies in the real production settings. So TVET institutions are therefore expected to prepare the learners with the practical industry-ready skills, so that this will enable them to suit or fit in the industries with the new automations that are there. So automation training has proved to improve speed, the quality, the safety, and the operational efficiency of the work environment. So for this study, it focused on how TVET institutions can integrate industrial automation and renewable energy training to support sustainable industrial development. The next slide. So on the problem statement, the problem that I identified is that many TVET institutions are still focusing on traditional technical approaches towards the training, but the modern industries are now requiring the smart competencies like the PLCs, the robotics, and the SCADAs, the smart control systems. For the study addresses the gap between the skills offered by the TVET institutions and the skill demanded by the modern industries. So the skill gap, the major skill gap is between the training and the industry, the modern industry, and the linkage that is weak is the limited exposure to real systems. So the objectives, I had the three objectives. The main one was to examine how industrial automation and renewable energy training in TVET institutions contribute to sustainable industrial development, then followed by two specific objectives, which were to assess the level of integration of automation and renewable energy. This is in the learning institutions, and also to examine the equipment availability and the curriculum relevance together with the instructor preparedness. So moving to the next slide, we have the literature review. The literature review, it showed that industrial automation improves productivity, accuracy, consistency, and safety while reducing the human error in the production. So it has proved that industrial automation, most of the industries that are that are automatically operated, they have fewer injuries compared to the ones that depend on human beings to be there and operate the machineries. So the renewable energy training helps to close this, to close the skills gap that is in installation, maintenance, operation, and troubleshooting of clean energy systems. So if we train our learners in renewable energy, we'll have the reduced time for maybe changeover when the power is out, reduced time for maintenance when we are using the non-renewable energy to provide ourselves with energy. So the next slide is on methodology, where the types of data methods that I used to collect the data was quantitative and also for the qualitative design, where I collected data through the questionnaires that were administered to the students, the instructors, the interviews conducted with the administrators, and also some industry experts who helped us to collect the data that we used. So qualitative data were analyzed using frequencies and percentages, while the qualitative interview responses were examined through thematic analysis. The next slide, we have the respondent profile, where we have the division of how the participants were divided. So they have 60% of the participants were the learners who are still in these institutions, and those who have cleared their schools and are outside in the industries. And 25% instructors, the trainers who train the trainees. The 5% were administrators, the ones who are responsible to regulate the curriculum, and also the industry experts. So to the findings, we have on training equipment. It was found that most of the industrial automation equipments they are inadequate in our training institutions. Most of the institutions that I did my data collection in, they had inadequate equipment that are training on automation. Some were fairly adequate, and others were totally inadequate. So for the renewable energy equipment, also we had some had inadequate, others had fairly adequate, and only a few had adequate. For the curriculum finding on from the trainees and the trainers, we had that 50% of the trainees agreed that the curriculum covered system automation and renewable energy content. 35% of those trainers agreed that they are fairly prepared to train the automation, and also 52% of the students who are in this data collection proved that the competence in the curriculum that will enable them to cope with the industrial automation and the renewable energy, they are competent. So on the collaboration, the next slide, we have the collaboration and challenges. We had industrial collaboration, where there was a weak industrial collaboration with the training institutions, and the main implementation challenges were the lack of equipment, since if the companies have, or the industries have the equipment that are automated, but the institutions do not have. So there was a major challenge in that, and also there was a challenge in funding, and trainers are lacking who have the knowledge on the implementation of the automation, and also the curriculum was a minor challenge. On the strategies to improve the training, the strategies that we recommended in this research paper was modern laboratories in our institutions, the workshops, the simulation tools to enable training for automation and renewable energy, so as to equip our learners with the practical skills on ready industrial automation. So it also emphasized on continuous instructor training so that the trainers can be able to cope with the schedule of the day, or what is in progress. There should be continuous instructor training through industrial exposure and also certification programs and professional development. So also the curriculum review needs to be done something on, so that it can incorporate the training of automation in the industries, and also partnership and funding should be availed to our TVET institutions to aid this. So the contribution to sustainable industrial development, the contribution of the sustainable industrial automation improves efficiency, since it improves speed, it improves the quality of and the safety of the work, as I mentioned. Clean energy, and we have the non-renewable energy that materials that we use, the fossil fuels, they have proved to be polluting the environment. So if you use the clean energy, we'll guaranteed of a secure future. And also the employment, the graduates have a guarantee of future-ready technical skills. So for the conclusion and the recommendation, the conclusion on this study is that the study concluded that the integrating industrial automation and renewable energy training in TVET institutions is essential for producing skilled workers who can support sustainable industrial development. And the main recommendation were to modernize the curriculum, increase the funding, and for the laboratories and the institutions. So thank you. That was my presentation.
Let me invite the presenters up front. Vanakaranja, have a seat. The other two come up front so that questions can be raised effectively. Yes, thank you. Could I turn to the audience if there is any who has a question? I checked on the following presentations, and I've gleaned many issues at hand. Adams was evaluating the effectiveness of simulation-based learning in teaching industrial automation and renewable energy systems in TVET, electrical and electronics engineering. Listening to the presentation, I found a few issues which I would like to be clarified. When you mentioned the idea that the cost of training is low, what does low mean? Because you remember, in monetary systems or in pecuniary systems, every cent or million would be said only. So what is this figure that you call low? Then the next issue is the software applications that were to be used in this research I saw you mentioned the MATLAB, the Simulink. And from my own perspective, I find that the two could be so limited. And therefore, why did you pick on the two with specificity? Coming to Cheriot Sambu, I have to suggest a policy statement over this issue. I remember the time when we were using the Kimbo and Cowboy. Is somebody around who witnessed such? The Kimbo and the Cowboy. We didn't have these problems, the means of having to go through the cardiovascular diseases and the tragedies that surround it. And so when I look at the entire presentation, I've become amazed. And so I was recollecting what used to happen in my school. Of course, the high school then. The high school then is different from the senior school now. When they could make the condiments, they chop the onions and the tomato, then just pour it in the oil and use it to cook, to prepare the sacotage. And we never had any problem. So could you advise that we reduce the temperature, we use room temperature, so as to deter the effects of thermal processing of the fats? Because, you know, with that absorption of the thermal energy, the CC double bond is broken, or even if it is the CO double bond is broken. Can you recommend that we use the room temperature so that now nobody will have to bother us that no, it has not boiled to the boiling point? Yeah, I always have a problem with my family, especially when they are handling the onions. So can you think of that? Then number two on that issue, I must appreciate that traditional way of handling matters. It was either boiling, roasting, and nothing like deep frying. So I don't know whether you can suggest a policy on the cooking methods to make our health safe. Yes, and as I hinted earlier, I'm going to advise my family that once they've used that oil, let it not be preserved for any other use. In fact, it can stay there until you even find cockroaches having enjoyed and danced and waded on it. And then it is sieved. After the sieve, it is also reused. So I'm going to handle that. I know you are going to handle that. Then there was the issue of toxicology of the aldehydes. The toxicology of the aldehydes. You noted in your presentation that they are heightened by the increase of the thermal content of the fats. I need to get something clear about that. But all said and done, it has amazed me at what has happened, especially when it comes to the cooking methods and our health. Then to the last presentation that has just been done before I give someone else an opportunity. In your title, you are talking of integrating. You know, I know we all did. We all did the calculus, the Euler, the Runge-Kutta methods. we did all that, the numerical analysis. But then, did the concept of integration come out candidly? Because I found that there was some lopsidedness, such that the concept of integration was missed. I don't know whether in the thick of matters. The next thing is on the mode of integration. You're talking of automation and renewable energy. I appreciate the smart system and the industry, all that, the aspects of renewable energy, the photovoltaics, and every other issue to do with it. But I'm wondering over which mode of integration would have surfaced such that a trainee that comes into a workshop in the absence of a photovoltaic module or any other system that would enable the training to take place, you can measure the radiance, you can as well know the tilt or the tilt angle and orientation all at one stop. That bit, I've not found it. I've not found the methodology capturing that area. Then when it comes to photovoltaics, we all concur, you and I do, that we are concerned about the conversion of the photons into utility electric energy. Then in this integration, the utility aspect and issues to do with the load and the energy demands needed to have been a little candid. I want to give room for someone else to ask a question or raise an issue. Thank you. So please bear with me, those in the field of engineering, and of course you've known that we've delved into the field of one another. Thank you. Any question?
Mine as an observation is just to request that in their study, they can indicate how else or how better somebody can continue the gap areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other issue that requires attention? Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you to our presenters. I have a question for Sambu. I heard you mention about tallow. So my question is beef tallow a better cooking fat for high heat food preparation? For example, I heard you mention the snacks that are deep fried, like fries. So do you think it is a better one? And can tallow replace the industrial seed oil that is produced in massive production to meet the demand of households in Kenya? Do you think that is sustainable also?
Or we go back to ghee. Yes, any other? So feel free to respond.
Okay, good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
So allow me to respond to those two questions. So the first one was about the cost. So the cost of training using MATLAB is actually low, basing on these 3 points, 3 or 4. One, we first compared the actual laboratory setup and simulation-based, using these simulation softwares, of which I'll mention later. So one, it is effectiveness. It is effective. Number two is applicability. We apply it, we simulate it in the laboratory setup, then we apply it in industrial perspective. Then safety. Safety, when you do it in a simulation environment, I mentioned something like black start and ice landing. So that perspective, you cannot practice it in a physical laboratory. But when you address it in a simulation environment, you can introduce that fault, or rather that mechanism, then you see its behavior. So that in real world perspective, you can find out mechanism to curb whenever that thing happens. Then flexibility, it is flexible. You can add more and more PV modules that if you want, you can add the actuators, you can add the sensors, then it can be readjusted, can be reprogrammed. If the issue gave a certain implication, give a certain disadvantage, you can upload another program, then you run it. So, but in a physical laboratory, if you do an error, then a machine is damaged, you have to buy another one. Then when it comes to simulation software applications that were used, I chose MATLAB, Simulink, because there are so many. We have EasyEDA, or the EasyEDA. We have Proteus Professional. We have KeyCAD, and we have PVSkit. So we have those softwares, but the reason that's why I chose MATLAB, it is not limited. First, it is industry-based. In the industries, they apply MATLAB. Then two, it is dynamic. Dynamic, you can apply more and more modules, then offers a sophisticated simulation environment. You can change variables and observe its behavior. Then it replicates a real-life environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Sambu. In relation to what moderator has asked, whether we can take raw food without cooking or this oil, I think that's a subject for another discussion. But what we have made to believe is these polyunsaturated fatty acids are the best, and that's what we are being told. But I don't know who came up with that idea, because now, based now on the current research and studies, show those polyunsaturated fatty acids are not stable when exposed to high temperatures. So this formation of the aldehydes, when you expose to high heat, it's no longer stable, and this formation of aldehydes are the one which are destroying the cellular cells, the function, the blood vessels. So these blood vessels are very important because it is supplying you, everywhere of your body requires this fresh blood to reach. Now when the blood vessels, the inner part of the vessels are destroyed, it's going to have a lot of problem with you. So the changes that we have undergone, that we have seen, from transitioning from the traditional use, the tallow, someone is asking about the tallow, can we go back to this? Tallow is saturated fatty acids, and it is more stable when you expose to it compared to the polyunsaturated fatty acids. So the temperatures might not be able to destroy, but when you reheat again, so the golden standard is do not reuse once you have used it. So it is better compared to the polyunsaturated fatty acids, the key, and those other traditional, even the one we are using, the butter from the milk, the cow's milk, it is saturated, but it is more stable compared to the polyunsaturated fatty acids. So the problem is we have changed our eating lifestyle, which has really caused a lot of harm and increase in these health conditions. Like maize, for example. We used to boil maize, and you can just eat, but currently even people fry maize. Instead, they boil, then they deep fry again. I've seen also people deep frying sweet potatoes. Instead of boiling, they just boil. After boiling again, they deep fry. And that is the best option. Currently, those are the people. If you boil your food, you rarely get customers. If you want to open a where you can sell food,
fast food store,
people will not come to you because we are using boil. But that is the best way. We need to go back to those traditional methods, or we call it, I don't know, we adapt the Western culture, and that is what has caused a lot of harm to us. So we need to trace our roots, go back to where we started from, like if you check the people who are pastoralists, like the Maasais, they're using a lot of meat. And this meat, they are fatty. And they are using a lot of milk. And maybe they don't even cook those, they undercook. And you find when you do a study, you find most of them, they are healthy. They don't have these non-communicable diseases. But the one we are exposing ourselves, we are reheating, we are cooking, we are microwaving, we're using a lot of thermal degradation, which destroy our food products, and we end up having all these problems. So we need to trace the roots and go back and avoid reusing of this cooking oil. And we do more research so that we get the facts, so that when we talk to people, we tell them not to buy ile ya maji, but we based on the scientific evidence that they use the saturated fats.
Yeah, thank you. Before we go to the other presenter, you are privy to the aspects of the fats and the oils. We are being told that if you go for the sunflower oil, the olive oil, and what else? Then they are better off. Can you guarantee that we leave whatever and go to these others which they appear to be recommending? And if you go there and find the cost of olive oil is much higher than this other one of the popcorn.
Actually, I think that's a debate because those companies, they want to sell. And when you can hear corn oil, what do you, if you are using a maize seed to make oil, unajua which part of the corn is used to make oil? They are very small part, but we have so many corn oil selling, but we have industries that extracting those part of maize to make such amount of oil, even sunflower oil. Do we have big large farms that produces this oil? So in sometimes we are we are told to believe, which is not true. It is not true that this is coming from that products that they are saying. It is just formulation of chemicals that we are taking in, thinking that we are taking corn, sunflower, and the rest. So trust yourself. You can use the traditional one, which you are sure it is coming from that animal that you have, and that is the better option, instead of using chemicals. So that's my advice.
Oh, so, I wanted them to respond if they could tell us the number of industries which extract the oil from the corn. And they kept mum.
Thank you for the questions. I captured 3 questions, but I'll answer the 2 that I had clearly. On the title, the integrating part, for this integration, I meant on the training that we do in the TVET institutions, the training that we train our learners so that they can cope with the industry or the work outside there. So the integration part was about the training that should be done or that should be delivered to the learners in the TVET institutions so that they can be ready for the industry. And also on the, if I captured it right, lack of resources. If let's say we want to show the trainees on the photovoltaic cells, how to place the solar panel, which angle should they place. So on this part, if we do the partnership with the industries, there was a model that was there on dual training that had come in the TVET institutions, but I think it has faded away in a way. But the dual training was somehow helpful because even if you don't have the resources and you virtually demonstrate that content to the trainee, and maybe the next time he or she goes to the industry, and is able to see what he had seen on a virtual platform in a real platform. It will be better. So partnership with the industries can narrow this gap that is there, which is lack of resources. So I captured those two questions correctly, and for the comment from the county director, we noted that, and thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us applaud them for the good work that they've done. We want to thank you very much. Thank you. The next set of presenters would be as follows. We are going to have Milton Olala under the digital transformation in TVET, incorporating automation and human-centered AI in TVET programs, equipping Kenyan technician for the 5th Industrial Revolution. So Milton comes to us all the way from the Michuki National Polytechnic. As he prepares his slides, I would like to invite the county director to introduce the guests.
Thank you very much. Members in the House, it would be in order for us to recognize significant people in the House. Could the guests who came after we had introduced ourselves please stand? That end, please. Just come on and introduce yourselves. Were you here? Did you introduce yourself? I have a technical officer also in my office. Today he had the privilege of joining us in our meeting today. So allow me to request them to introduce themselves as we continue in the next session.
Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Sospita Obungowich. Sospita Obungowich is a community mobilizer. I'm a politician, and above all, I stand here as a representative of the community in the institution. First, I want to thank our principal, the principal for the Kisumu National Polytechnic, the director TVET, and all the leadership that has made it possible for this institution to run in a very good way. On behalf of the community, I wish to inform you that we are all aware about the activities that are taking place in the institution. I came here personally to be part and parcel of this important event, that is this conference, and I'm so happy indeed for everything that I've gotten in terms of information since I started being here in the morning up to now. For example, the issue of about used oil. You know, as a politician, I remember there was a politician somewhere who collected this used oil and put them in some jerrycan. Then he went to some market around my place. Then he started distributing to women. Then some women got aggrieved. They pour it down and said, "Why are you giving us used oil? From today onwards, I've known that it is not good, so I will advise my people and every other person in the community never to use it." So that is a lesson that I've gotten from here, and I'm very glad about it. Lastly, as I finish, Madam Principal, we want to confirm to you that the community is so happy with you about everything, about the graduation that is taking place on the 25th, and all the activities that you are doing in the school. You have our goodwill. You have our goodwill and the blessing from the community. Continue doing your work. There is no political interference because we stand here on behalf of the political class. So we want to assure you that the community is also with you and they are backing you 100%. Director, as I finish, we want to assure you that we are fully behind you. We know all that the ministry is doing, and we're supporting the ministry. Continue doing it as you have always done it before. Thank you, and may God bless you. Asante.
Karibu sana.
Good afternoon. At times it is difficult to talk after politician. But I'll just introduce myself, then I take my seat. Yeah, my name's Tobias Omulo. We work with the Madam Director. I'm her technical person in the office. So I'm here, she invited me here to be here because she has a lot of work. So when she's not here, I'll be here for her. Thank you.
Thank you.
All protocol observed. Madam Director, I'm happy to meet you for the first time. Our principal, thank you very much for inviting us to be in this session today. My name's Simon Okello. I'm here on behalf of our new students. We came last year and the other year. I'm a student mobilizer, come community mobilizer. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you.
Happy to meet you.
Happy to meet you too, and thank you for having created time to come. For the sake of those who are still worried about which oil to use, the sunflower, you asked about it. I realize the government is giving subsidy seeds, so members can apply for that and plant and process their own sunflower and consume safe oil. Thank you so much. I may not be able to stay to the end, and that for that reason I beg to leave, and may the Lord bless us even as we continue with the business of the day. Thank you so much.
Yes, Milton. I request that we have only 2 presentations because our day is fast spent. It is almost 4:30. If it won't hurt anyone. And so after this is Milton. So after Milton, we can have Geoffrey Kipsang. Geoffrey Kipsang. Because the next one who is here, no. Geoffrey Kipsang is, no, Kevin Ouma. Kevin, where are you? Kevin? Is Kevin around? Is Kevin around? Then we'll have Kipsang. Fine. So let us have the 2 presentations.
So, good evening. So, like I've been introduced, I'm Milton Olala, presenting for the Michuki National Polytechnic, and the title, Incorporating Automation and Human-Centered AI in TVET programs for the fifth industrial revolution, that is preparing our technician. So the background of the research paper is that the transition to the fifth industrial revolution, or 5IR, focus on human-robot or human-AI collaboration, sustainability, and ethics. In contrast with 4IR, where we mainly emphasize on humanization, that is creativity, interpersonal skills, values, alongside the digital transformation. So the problem is that the Kenyan TVET curricula really lags behind 5IR in advancements, creating skills gap for the graduates. So we have a comparison between the 4IR and the 5IR. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah, we have a comparison between the 4IR and the 5IR. You have the aspect of focusing, technology, skills, and ethics. Under 4IR, we had automation and digitization. Under technology, you have IoT, AI, and the big data.
technical and digital literacy and limited focus. Under 5IR, we had human-machine collaboration. We have human-machine collaboration, ethical AI, smart robotics, cognitive and ethical adaptive, explainability, and non-discrimination. Next slide, please. So the problem is that the TVET institution have insufficient resources, frameworks to teach the 5IR technologies, that is automation or human-centered AI. So our graduates risks being unprepared for industry demands requiring both technical and human-centric competencies. So the main objective was to explore methods to integrate automation and human-centered AI into Kenyan TVET engineering programs. And the specific objective to obtain the general objective was to evaluate current AI or automation integration in TVET, identify 5IR engineering competencies, assess infrastructure or trainer readiness, and propose curriculum integration framework. So those are some of the expected outcome: framework for 5IR integration in TVET, policy recommendation for TVET or ministry, stakeholder awareness on humanizing technology. So those are some of the research questions I had. Integrated AI, automation in current TVET curriculum, challenges and policy curriculum reforms that are needed. So significance. We have curriculum alignment with the future industry needs, support Kenya Vision 2030 and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, and bridge the skills gap between 5IR ready technicians. Next, please. So that is under methodology, mixed methods, both qualitative and quantitative. The target population was TVET instructors, students, curriculum developers, policymakers. The main data collection tools was online survey, sampling 5+ representative TVET institutions. Participants were around 100 TVET instructors and 150 students. Next, please. So that's my results under the from the data collected, where we had around 70% male and 30% female from 250 respondents. The mean age was 25, around 26, 25 years. Their occupation were mainly trainers and under the civil engineering department. Then the institutes were mainly public TVET institutions. So under results, under exposure to automation, 60% have not used the AI tools, 40 have used them. Familiarity rating, that is from scale 1 to 5. Under the general AI tools, automation tools, machine learning, and chatbots, we had 2.6, 2.6, 3.0, and 3.0. Under curriculum integration, 60% report automation not integrated, 40% report slight integration. Use of AI learning tools, 40% have used AI-powered tools like chatbots and or adaptive learning. Under qualitative or thematic analysis, under infrastructure readiness, we have poor infrastructure, lack of readiness, fewer resources, and some institutions are slightly prepared. So we have challenges like outdated curriculum, which does not feature in the AI, then limited instructor training, lack of equipment, and reliable internet. Okay, under discussion, recommendations from respondents, we raise awareness of AI, integrate AI in curriculum, improve internet infrastructure, and offer regular AI training. So our data revealed moderate familiarity with tools among trainers. Also, it revealed significant infrastructure gaps, and that is lack of curriculum integration, echoing global trends in TVET systems, particularly in developing economies. Next, please. That's under continuation of our discussion. Next. Recommendations, under recommendations. We have, under recommendation, we have to address these challenges, the following measures are recommended: policy intervention, curricular reforms, infrastructure investment, and training of trainers. Then, under conclusion, the study underscores that while Kenyan TVET trainers demonstrate potential receptiveness to AI and automation, systematic barriers such as infrastructure deficit, outdated curricula, and insufficient training significantly hinders the progress. Addressing these challenges requires coordinated action across multiple levels, policy intervention, to provide enabling frameworks and resources, institution transformation to build technological and pedagogical capacity. Thank you. So thank you.
Thank you. Let us applaud him. Thank you, thank you. Yes, the next presenter, and that is going to be the last one for the day because the other presenters are not there. Can you just do it? Fine, fine. Geoffrey Kipsang has a paper under the title, The Impact of AI on E-Governance in TVET Institutions, Lessons from the Kisumu National Polytechnic and Selected Colleges. So, Geoffrey Kipsang is homegrown and on home ground. Yes. He accepted to be, he accepted to wind up the day. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Geoffrey Kipsang, trainer from mechanical department in this institution. I am here to make my presentation on a paper titled Impact of Artificial Intelligence on E-Governance, Lessons Drawing from the Kisumu Poly and other selected colleges. So let me start with something we are all familiar with, and that is the queue. Normally, we see trainees on the registry department, on the finance department, exam department, and all our departments queuing either to collect a document, either to make an inquiry, either to submit a document, or for anything of that purpose. So this is just a note. It is something that is in all our TVET institutions, and it consumes time that students would be using in their studies. Also, on staff members, trainees, trainers, and support staff around also do use a lot of time on repetitive tasks that consume the sole purpose of their day-to-day activities. So, go back to slide 1. Two, sorry. Okay, thank you. The next one. So, the actual challenge we have is that we have disconnected systems that we are using to carry our day-to-day activities. We also experience records getting lost, either a file is damaged, a file is lost, a flood has happened and has destroyed the file, and that leads to challenges. We also have revenue leaking away because of errors in our financial systems. And all these challenges are there because we are using the manual way of doing things. So the purpose of this study is to see and assess if AI can be used to help us with these bottlenecks we are encountering. So the purpose of this study is to explore three specific tools of AI. That is one, AI chatbots, automated records, and predictive analytics. So chatbots will be used for instant feedback on fees, exam, timetables, on any other thing that students may want to inquire about. Automated records will be used to help in storing our files digitally, and also in retrieving it can be very easy because it can be retrieved anywhere, anytime, unlike the traditional way where we store our files in the cabin. The next one is predictive analytics, whereby this can help us in spotting risk students, help analyze enrollment trends, and also assess on equipment failures before they become a crisis. So the goal of this study is to make a practical and affordable recommendation on how AI can fix our challenges. So I have three objectives, one general and two specific. So the general objective is this study of examining how artificial intelligence can improve e-governance and administrative efficiencies in TVET institution. So the first, let me read it clearly. The first objective is to study and examine how artificial intelligence can improve e-governance and administrative efficiencies in TVET institution. The next two specific objectives is identify the bottlenecks and pinpoint exactly which administrative and financial challenges trainees and staff face. The next and the last objective is to assess readiness of AI.
3 minutes.
Thank you. And examine stakeholder attitudes towards these chatbots. So the guiding theory is technology acceptance models by Davis, the most widely used and tested theory on technology adoption in the world. Evidence are from already working system on AIs in our classrooms, especially from Kariuki and colleagues, whereby they found out that classrooms that AI is being used have 78.4 performance, higher than 72.9 for traditional classrooms. So the research design is done using mixed methods, whereby numbers and life experience side by side is examined. So it is both analytical and exploratory, measuring how today's systems perform while exploring realistic AI possibilities for tomorrow. So who we are studying is, we have 5 stakeholder groups. Those are trainers, trainees, support staff, technician, and administrators. For trainees, we use stratified random sampling, while for staff, we will use the purposeful sampling, deliberately reaching out for the most experienced registry clerks, finance officers, managers, because they know the system and the pain and pinpoint, or the system's pain points best. So the survey or the data will be in 4 ways, or the data collection will be done in 4 ways: online surveys, face-to-face interviews, document analysis, and direct observation. Analysis is quantitative, using Google Drives; qualitative, using thematic analysis; and triangulation, checking surveys, interviews, observation, so as to finding rest and converging evidence, not on a single source. So why this study matters is because it will actually benefit the stakeholders. It will actually benefit all the stakeholders, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are ending at exactly 5. And so please don't go. I have 2 questions to ask, to raise. Number 1, did you make an effort of computing how many man-hours are taken in a queue? How many man-hours, so that we may know the pilferages in terms of hours that go to the drains when people stand along the queues. Then number 2, you spoke of lessons from the Kisumu National Polytechnic. So far, I did not learn any lesson from the Kisumu National Polytechnic. Or is the lesson only on the queue? That is my point. Before I invite Madam Dina, yes, just come, just come. And this is Olala. Is there any other question to be raised to him, to Geoffrey? Oh, Milton, there is the issue of the human-centered AI in TVET. What is this? What is the epicenter of the human AI interface? Because we cannot talk about the human-centered AI without the epicenter. Where is the center? And if that center is, how effective is it in the transformation? Those are my questions. But I thank you for the 5IR, the issues that we have, and the reluctance of our TVET institutions and the curriculum to adoption of the Industrial Revolution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the questions. For the matter of time being taken on queues, I have not deliberately sat down and observed how long does it take to stand on a queue. But basically it is based on the matters being handled, and also the number of people in that queue will impact on the time that will be taken on the queue.
So that is a gap that you may wish to identify.
Thank you.
Because if there are 2,000, each of them taking 2 minutes, yes.
Yes.
Just analytics.
Yeah. On the matter of lessons from Kisumu Poly, the study is still ongoing, and the final paper is almost coming up. That is when I can make complete.
Thank you.
So thank you once again. Under the epicenter of the human-centered AI, from our speech from one of the professors, I heard he said that he usually gives his student assignment, and he tells them, go and do what? Go and use AI. So we have automation and we have human-centered AI. Automation is mainly whereby the AI is working on its own. Then the human-centered AI, we have the collaboration of the human and the AI. For example, our professor said that he gives his or her students assignment, and he tells them, go and use AI to do your maybe your assignment. So he's guiding them on how to use that AI to finish up their assignment. So yeah, I think.
Thank you very much. Just for information, we have engineering colleges. One of them is the Engineering Institute of Technology, which uses the AI to guide even the doctoral students in their research. So it is already being consummated and adopted. Thank you for your presentation. Let us applaud them. Madam Dina, welcome. As she prepares to come, tomorrow we'll start with the presentations. We've done 11 papers. Tomorrow we'll do more.
Yeah. Is there somebody with anything that they want to talk about the presentations before I wind up? Anybody? Okay. Now, I'm just going to give an overview. I'm not directing to any presenter, particular presenter, but just an overview. Now, I'm impressed by the young researchers. I'm impressed. Today we've seen very young researchers here, and they're up to the task. Congratulations, and continue. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, so you are heading somewhere. Thank you so much. So be encouraged and continue. However, that is how we do research. You say something has been done like this, like this, like this. Now, now the problem comes. However, we need to do some adjustments. It's not that you did badly, but there are some adjustments that we need to do that I've seen from almost all the presenters. Now, when you are presenting a paper, be it in a conference, wherever, and you are using PowerPoint, try to look at the font that you are using, whether it will be legible for the audience. So some of the presentations were, the letters were very small, the fonts were very small. Some of us will not be able to see them, but you as the owner, you were seeing. But the audience, they were illegible. So from experience, I think if you're using Times New Roman from font 28 onwards, it will be able to be legible and somebody can be able to read from far. But you can use 32 and above. Now, remember this is your work. Do not put a lot of words in your PowerPoint slides. Just put your points, because it's your work, you know what you are going to talk about. Don't write a whole sentence which you are going to read. That is now for future, in case you go to another conference. So kindly check on that. Now, also, it is not mandatory for you to put the introduction part when you are presenting a paper using PowerPoint. You can go straight to the problem statement, but as you are stating your problem, the introduction comes in. Yeah, so don't put a slide for introduction, problem statement, justification. So make it one so that it is under problem statement. Now, I don't know whether this is an issue which we are entering into in research. You have very long sentences in your presentations. And we are able even to see them when you send your abstracts. Avoid very long sentences. They distort the meaning. If the sentence is very long, unasoma unafika katikati, you forget where you started from, so you don't even get the point. Kindly avoid those long sentences, both in PowerPoint and even in your paper. Then slides for purposes of presentation, not unless your paper is very long, they should not exceed 10. Yeah. Kama zitaenda sana, maybe up to 15, but hiyo utaenda na speed ingine kali sana when you are presenting. The more the slides you have, the more time you will take. And if you get a conference ambao watu wako strict, you will be stopped before even you reach methodology. So make sure your slides are as few as possible. So mention only the main points. Do not write long sentences. Then some of us, because it was our first time, we were reading, so we can avoid that. It's just to guide you. You can read 1, 2 words and then you explain. Then also the part which you are not supposed to include is literature review. Literature review you can just mention it by passing when you are dealing with a problem statement. So the part of literature review also was wasting your time and your slides. So avoid that. Now, we are in AI. We are in AI. But do not allow AI to manage you. Hello? Researchers, kindly. Do not allow AI to manage you. Instead, manage the AI. Let your brain manage the AI. Most of us are letting AI manage our brains. And if AI manages our brains, then we are not researchers. That one, as of all the presenters hapa, labda ni mmoja ama wawili hawakuwa na hiyo shida au paper presentations. So kindly, we are in AI era, but use AI intelligently. Yes, don't copy-paste everything from AI. Just think by yourself. Let it assist you. Now, finally, but not least, way forward for our presenters. If you have presented your paper, you've sent your full paper, it will be edited, it will be read, corrections will be made, utatumiwa, you do the corrections, you return it for publishing. Yeah, that is the beauty of having this conference. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much. I want to give a preview of the last of tomorrow's program. And I would like my friend over there to offer the last prayer. Yes, your paper presenter, you'll offer the last prayer after this. Yeah. That is an honor that has been given to me to award to you. So we'll have registration and housekeeping businesses from around 8 o'clock. By 8:30, we should be having the keynote address by Professor Nelson Obange, followed by Frederick Aela. Professor Frederick Aela will confirm if there would be other presenters. Then thereafter, we'll have the paper presentations going on. We have already lined up here some 7 presenters. So let us set ourselves ready for the event tomorrow. Those of us who presented, feel free to still be part of us. Thank you, and may my friend lead us in a word of prayer.
Okay. Thank you very much. So if you wish to stand, we can stand so that we can have a word of prayer. Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we call upon your name this time. We thank you for taking care of us throughout the day. For all the liberation that we have made here, oh Lord, may it guide us, may it guide our proceedings and our plans for future events and future research, oh Lord. I pray that you may guide all the speakers, all the keynote address speakers who will be presenting tomorrow. May you also guide them, oh Lord, so that whatever they will be sharing with us will also help us in our daily life, oh Lord. I pray for everyone, those who are traveling back to their destination, their residential areas, may you take them safely. Pray for everyone so that they also wake up and come tomorrow when they are healthy. I pray for good health for everyone who is here. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Before you leave, let me just do some consultation.